the Blue Jackets were shut out against Florida, facing their old friend goalie Bob, losing 4-0. We'll get right into it. The Blue Jackets, I thought they got some good pressure early on in the game. Erica Branson with some nice moves, which was strange to see, but I'll take it. It's a nice little surprise there. Both Gus Nyquist and Patrick Laine getting some good chances, but goalie Bob stood tall there. The Shinikov, Rozovic, and Patrick Laine line was, I think, the most noticeable for this Blue Jackets team. Again, when they were going, they seemed to be going pretty well, and they seemed to be generating the most amount of chances out of all the other lines for the Blue Jackets. So I thought they were doing pretty good. The broadcast made a note to mention Tim Burney a lot, as this is his 5th game in the NHL, and he's looked fine. I don't think he's looked as impressive as the broadcast was putting him over to be, but I do think he's kind of looked not too out of place, and for a guy who's coming in just because of injuries and all that, and for how his season has gone just because of the Blue Jackets stuff, I feel like his being in the lineup and not looking completely out of place is good. I also have been impressed with Marcus Bjork. I know that's been said before, but I think Marcus Bjork's play for what he's been thrown into, I feel like he's been a pleasant surprise, not because he's been setting the world on fire or anything, but just because he's been somebody you can't step up and become, he's quarterbacking the first unit of the power play, and while that might not be ideal, he doesn't look completely out of his element, doesn't look completely lost out there. So good on those two on the D pairing there with all the injuries that are going on for being somewhat steady presences in the lineup. But however, the Panthers would get some zone time after the Blue Jackets got done having some chances. And then Montour with the shot that would beat Elvis. A Tkachuk screen there. He kind of skated in front of Elvis right at the right moment there. The Blue Jackets kill off a Florida power play, although it was a lot of Florida killing it off themselves and Elvis making saves. The Blue Jackets didn't really do a whole lot in terms of clearing the puck, but the power play goes without a goal for Florida either way. Laine would have a shot go off the post, and then Chinikov had a chance on a rebound, but he did shoot that wide of the net. Late in the first period, Jack Roslovic would take a puck to the leg. He would go to the locker room. That was kind of a worrying sight, especially with how this season has gone and guys going down for long periods of time over, it's just been not a great year for the Blue Jackets for injuries. So when you see a guy take a puck to the leg and he goes to the locker room, you start getting the worst feeling. But he would come back in the second period and he would be fine. First period ends 1-0 off of that Montour goal. The Jackets looking to respond early. They're getting some chances being around the Panthers zone, but Tkachuk would score on a shot from the circle. Good positioning by him to put the CBJ down by 2. And then Matthew Tkachuk would get called for 2 back-to-back minor penalties, meaning he got a minor penalty, came out of the box, and pretty much got another one off of that. But the Jackets don't generate much on their power play either. Then Gavrikov would go to the box. No goal on that power play for the Panthers either. So a lot of fruitless power plays in this game already so far. Montour with the shot after the whistle that would spark a scrum. I think it is good to see that the Blue Jackets are still feisty at this point. They're still willing to get into it with some guys. I know there were times last year where it felt like the team would be so beaten down and downtrodden, and they would just not even bother responding with physicality when teams would throw it to them. But they did make some offseason acquisitions to get them some more physicality. So hopefully that's an effect there where maybe the Blue Jackets will still have some spirit, even if some of the results start going not their way. They haven't been, but even if it gets even worse, which it is a possibility that I think we might start to see later on in the season. But then Barkov would score late in the second period with the lead and now with 3 goals. And that goal pretty much seemed like a backbreaker because the Blue Jackets, for all intents and purposes, was playing pretty competitive with Florida for those first 40 minutes. And, going down 2-0 is definitely much more doable than it seems a lot more different than 3 goals, even though, 1 goal is just a bounce. But, 2 goals and 3 goals for one period just seems like a whole different ball game for some reason. And the third period was pretty much a snooze fest. Third period was pretty much a snore. I found myself zoning out a lot during that third period. I'm not going to lie, because honestly, there wasn't much in terms of shots or offensive action. A lot of it was some zone entries. The Panthers really doing a good job of imposing their will on defense. They weren't going to allow a whole lot of prime chances for the Blue Jackets. That was their mission going out after intermission, and they did a pretty good job of it. The Blue Jackets not generating really much of any shots on goal. They did get a power play that, again, the Jackets doing not a whole lot on the power play, so this power play continues to have a really, really bad stretch shortly after their first really, really bad stretch to begin the season. Eventually, Sam Reinhart would score an empty net goal to end the game at 4-0. So Sergei Bobrovsky getting his first shutout over the Blue Jackets. That's Not fun for the Blue Jackets, but you figured it would happen eventually. He did stop some pretty good chances, so it's not like the Jackets gave him a snoozer of a game. Through the first 40 minutes, the Jackets were they were buzzing a little bit. They definitely did get some chances and good opportunities, but Sergei Bobrovsky managed to stop all of them, and the Blue Jackets didn't really capitalize on their rebound chances that much. I did talk about the Chinakov chance that he got early on in the game where he had a rebound off of a line shot that went off the post, and he shot it wide of net. I feel like that could have been one that maybe ends up in the back of the net, but who knows. The Blue Jackets, competitive for the first 2 periods. I didn't mind their effort there. And then in the third period, the Panthers just kind of asserted their dominance, asserted their will, especially on a defensive effort. It was clear that the Panthers' plan wasn't going to be to run up the score to 10 or anything. They were just hoping to stifle the Blue Jackets' chances and limit them. Keep the puck in non-dangerous areas for Bobrovsky, and the Panthers pulled that off to perfection in the third period. Can't really say much else besides the Blue Jackets. They looked like they played pretty good for 40 minutes, and then the third period things kind of got rough after they realized they were down 3, and there just didn't seem to be that much of a pushback that much that the Panthers weren't willing to match with. So thank you all for watching. If you made it this far into the video, feel free to leave a like and a subscribe if you enjoyed it. Let me know if you have something to say in the comments, and I will see you at the next one.